In 2004, one of the most powerful men in music was pushed out of his own company, stripped of his throne. His partners had turned against him. His label, gone. His leverage, slipping away. Most people would have walked away, but Sean Carter didn't walk away. He went to war. But here's the part nobody talks about. The billions, they almost never happen. And the story of how Jay-Z built and nearly lost his empire is far more complicated, more emotional, and more calculated than most people realize. So stay with me, because what happens next changes everything. But before we get into the story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and if you enjoy deep storytelling documentaries about wealth, power, and the hidden psychology behind success, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. Three questions that will change how you see Jay-Z. Before we go any further, I need you to hold on to three questions. 1. How does a drug dealer become a billion-dollar corporation legally? 2. Who were the hidden power players who tried to stop him, and why? 3. And what does Jay-Z know about wealth that almost nobody in entertainment ever figures out? Because by the time we're done here, you're not just going to understand Jay-Z's money. You're going to understand the system and why almost nobody escapes it the way he did. Quick montage. Def Jam boardrooms, title press conferences, Armand de Brignac champagne bottles, Rock Nation offices, headlines about his net worth. Marcy to Manhattan, the education nobody gave him. Marcy Houses, Brooklyn, 1980s. 11 building. History. Just not the kind anyone would put in a brochure. His father leaves when Jay-Z is 11. First lesson in abandonment and self-reliance. His mother, Gloria Carter, works multiple jobs. Books in the house. Jay-Z
This was
reads
my
constantly.
favorite. Ready to hear it?
By his
Yeah,
teens,
how'd you
he's
turn
watching
it
the
on?
neighborhood economy.
Just press play right
Who
there.
has cash? Who has power? How it moves. He would later say that the streets taught him supply and demand before any economics class ever could. He wasn't just selling, he was studying. And that student mentality, watching, learning, calculating, would one day be worth more than $1 billion. But first, it would almost get him killed. Late 1980s. Jay-Z is rapping, but nobody in New York's music industry will sign him. Major labels pass, repeatedly. Key moment, rather than beg for a deal, he and two partners, Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs Burke, pool their money and launch Rockefeller Records in 1995. This is the move that almost nobody talks about, but it changes everything. Jay-Z didn't enter the music industry as an artist. He entered it as an owner, from day one. Artists who signed bad deals in the 90s versus Jay-Z keeping his masters. Reasonable Doubt, 1996, released independently. Critical love, modest sales. But Jay-Z is watching how distribution works, how radio payola works, where the real money flows. He signs a distribution deal with Priority/EMI, keeps the label, keeps the equity. He was building something most rappers didn't even know existed, but there were people in the industry watching, and not all of them were fans. The Def Jam gamble. The Rockefeller machine. By 2000, Rockefeller is a cultural force. Jay-Z's albums go multi-platinum back-to-back. But more importantly, Rocawear launches, a clothing line. By 2004, it's doing $700 million in annual revenue. Jay-Z is now not just a rapper, he's a brand, a CEO in everything but the org chart. While other artists were spending money on cars, Jay-Z was learning a word most of them had never used in a sentence. Equity. 2003. Def Jam offers Jay-Z the presidency of the label, an unprecedented move. But here's what the press releases didn't say. To take the job, Jay-Z had to sell his stake in Rockefeller Records, his label, his creation, his leverage, for $10 million, a number that, given what Rockefeller was worth, was, let's say, negotiated in someone else's favor. Damon Dash is furious. The partnership fractures publicly. Jay-Z takes the Def Jam presidency anyway, And within 12 months, Jay-Z would discover exactly why that $10 million deal was one of the most expensive decisions of his life, and also, strangely, the one that made him a billionaire. As Def Jam president, Jay-Z signs Rihanna, Kanye West, Young Jeezy. He's powerful, but he doesn't own the company. He's an employee, a very well-paid one. But still, the tension, his taste is gold. His equity, almost nothing. There's a word for this in business. You can be the most valuable person in a room and still be the most replaceable. Jay-Z was starting to feel that tension, and in 2007, it exploded. After the empire cracked, building the real machine. The Def Jam exit. 2007. Jay-Z's contract is up. He wants a true equity stake in Def Jam. Universal says no. He walks. Quietly. Strategically. Most people reported it as a contract dispute. It wasn't. It was a man who had just spent 3 years learning exactly how a $3 billion music corporation operated. From the inside. And now he was leaving to build his own. Rock Nation. The blueprint for everything. 2008. Rock launches. Not a record label. A full-service entertainment company. Management, publishing, touring, sports, film. Key distinction for viewers. Most labels make money when artists sell music. Rock Nation makes money when artists breathe. Touring, endorsements, licensing, merch. Jay-Z structured it to earn on everything. That's not a music business. That's a holding company wearing a music business as a costume. The deals nobody talks about layer in the quieter, more complex moves. Armand de Brignac, Ace of Spades champagne. Jay-Z doesn't just endorse it. He acquires the brand after publicly feuding with Cristal. LVMH later buys a 50% stake. Valuation? Rumored $630 million. Douce Cognac, co-ownership deal with Bacardi. Estimated value, $600+ million. Tidal buys the struggling streaming platform for $56 million in 2015. Sells a majority stake to Square, now Block, for $297 million in 2021. Here's the pattern. Every single time. He doesn't endorse products. He buys them. He doesn't perform at events. He owns them. He doesn't work for companies. He becomes a shareholder. This is not luck. This is a system. But even with all of this, there was one deal that almost unraveled everything Jay-Z had built, and it came from the last place he expected. The NFL deal and the backlash. 2019, Jay-Z announces Rock Nation's partnership with the NFL, entertainment and social justice initiatives. The explosion. Colin Kaepernick supporters and civil rights advocates accused Jay-Z of legitimizing a league that blacklisted Kaepernick. Jay-Z's response, largely unapologetic. I had to get past kneeling. In one press conference, Jay-Z risked something no dollar amount can replace, his credibility with the community that made him. And the question that followed wasn't about money, it was about something harder. What do you sacrifice when you're playing chess at the highest level? Newspaper headlines. Social media reactions split down the middle. Jay-Z stone-faced at the podium. The billionaire blueprint revealed. How he actually crossed $1 billion. June 2019, Forbes confirms Jay-Z as hip-hop's first billionaire. But the breakdown surprises people. Music? A relatively small slice. His touring and albums account for maybe 10 to 15% of his wealth. The real money? Liquor, real estate, tech equity, streaming, sports management. Art? Yes, he owns a serious fine art collection. And Armand de Brignac. Armand de Brignac, approximately $310 million. Douce, approximately $300 million. Tidal, approximately $100 million plus. Rock Nation, approximately $75 million. Cash/investments, approximately $70 million. Real estate, approximately $50 million plus. Art collection, approximately $70 million. He is functionally a beverage company that also happens to make music. The lesson behind the lesson. Walk audience through the core philosophy. in storytelling terms, not lecture terms. Use the Cristal story as a metaphor. He was publicly disrespected by the Cristal brand in 2006. His response? He didn't just boycott, he bought a competing champagne brand and made it bigger than Cristal in hip-hop culture. Every single time someone told Jay-Z no, or tried to cut him out, or underestimated him, he found a way to own the thing they wouldn't give him. This is not a rap story. This is a study in institutional power. Beyoncé, the most underrated business partnership in history. Beyoncé's net worth, independently approximately $540 million, and growing. Combined, one of the wealthiest couples in American history. Their management structures, tour revenue, and brand deals are interlocked, deliberately. They don't just share a marriage, they share a corporate structure. Their combined leverage in music, film, fashion, and culture gives them a negotiating position that almost no individual in entertainment can match. But even with all of this, there's one question that none of the Forbes profiles, none of the magazine covers, none of the documentaries have answered cleanly. What did it cost? Not in dollars, in something harder to measure. The price of the empire. The 444 Confession, 2017 album 444. Jay-Z publicly admits to infidelity, emotional unavailability, generational trauma. In the story of O.J., lays out his entire financial philosophy. Here's what's remarkable. Jay-Z put his wealth-building blueprint, the actual intellectual framework, inside a rap album. And most people heard the beat. They didn't hear the lecture. Quote the concept, not lyrics verbatim. He tells Black Americans to buy property, build equity, stop renting culture, and start owning it. He wasn't just confessing, he was teaching, and the classroom held 50 million listeners. The generational wealth angle. His daughter, Blue Ivy, already has a Grammy, already has business interests structured in her name. Jay-Z has spoken about building a 100-year legacy, not just a career. Most people build wealth for themselves. Jay-Z is building an institution, the kind that, historically, only old money families have been allowed to create in America. And he's doing it in one generation, from Marcy houses. So what does the Jay-Z story actually mean? It means the music was never the product. The music was the advertisement. The real product was leverage, ownership, equity, access. Things that, for most of American history, people who looked like Jay-Z were explicitly denied by law. He didn't just build a business empire. He dismantled a ceiling by buying the building. Marcy projects to Grammy Stage to Rock Nation offices, to art galleries to NFL partnership to his daughter, holding a Grammy. If you had started with nothing, would you have played it differently? Before you go, I want to hear from you, because the Jay-Z debate is real. Some people look at that NFL deal and say he sold out. Others look at the Armand de Brignac deal and say he's the greatest businessman of his generation. Some say both can be true. Did Jay-Z sell out or buy in? Drop your take below on the comment section. Ask, which move do you think was his smartest? The Def Jam exit, buying Tidal, or something else entirely? And if you think Jay-Z's story had unexpected turns, next week we're breaking down a celebrity whose business empire looked even more untouchable, until one decision brought the whole thing down almost overnight. I'll give you one hint. The collapse started with a handshake deal and a smile. If this kind of breakdown is what you're here for, real stories, real money, real stakes, subscribe. New breakdown every week.